Hey, how's it going? This is going to be the thrilling conclusion to messing with art files. We're going to be looking at the other things that make up a room. I've already gone through like messing with battle events and all that, and a little bit of jumping between events, but today we're going to tackle just actually setting up rooms like this. Now, before we begin, there are a few things you should always do. One is that you should save state before going into the room. Once you load a room in RAM, you have to move about 2 rooms away usually to unload it from RAM. So your new event file won't load in. So it's always best to make a save state before you've walked into the room. Just makes it easier. Next thing is there is now an updated version of the Map Studio. So if you want to pause the video and download that, the link will be in the description. Highly recommended as it fixes a big issue, which was not being able to copy and paste things that had indentations on them. And while that may not be too big for this video, it'll be relevant in the future, as I'm going to have a 4th video on this detailing the way that I add events to the game. So with that in mind, today we're going to be messing with the underground concourse. Now, I'm going to go over all of the things that make up the room first, and then I'll go over like most of their functionalities. We'll do entrances and exits last, only because that's going to be the more tedious part of it, which means it'll take a lot longer to go through. So we're just gonna go through this at a good pace. Now, since we want to work with the underground concourse, I'm going to figure out what room ID that is. Underground concourse is labeled 25, so we'll use the Windows calculator in programmer mode. Just type in 25 while hex is selected and you'll see 37. Alright, so that means on here it will be TT37. Okay, so let's go over everything that makes up this room. We're going to be entering from up here, so let's go ahead and tackle that from this perspective. So the first thing with maps is, as you'll notice, there's a Sora, Donald, and Goofy group in many areas of the map. These are your spawn locations, and they are going to be highly relevant. You do not have to worry about any of this stuff up here, usually, except for ID. ID, you want to make sure that when you add an entity of really anything, not just these spawn guys, that the ID and the serial number on them don't match something that already exists in the room, or you're going to get very weird problems. Problems that you want to avoid, because they will almost always just lead to a crash. So, with these entries, you'll see there's a player, friend 1, and friend 2. So, player is Sora, friend 1 is Donald, friend 2 is Goofy. I don't know if this one corresponds to it. Let me try and find the one that this corresponds to. Maybe this one? No. As you can see, there's a bunch of spawn groups here. There's a group for each entrance. Let's see. Okay, so it's gonna be the last one. Alright. So, yep, here he is. So this is the location that the player will spawn into. Now, the most important thing to note here is 2 things. One, you need your spawn type for the player, Donald and Goofy at 1, if you plan on including Donald and Goofy in your mod anyways. If you don't plan on including them, or you include a sound dummy, like what I do, replacing Donald, then you'll want to have a friend 1 entity in there too. But otherwise, all you really have to worry about is player. Now, spawn arg is incredibly important for these, because this is going to determine which spawn point is actually used based on the room transition. We will come back to this once we mess with entrances and exits, but for now, spawn arg and spawn type should always be 1. Spawn arg needs to be what it needs to be different per spawn group, basically. Like every player, friend 1, friend 2 group should have a different spawn argument, or you are going to end up duplicating the player, which also can lead to strange issues. That's what m_00 pretty much always corresponds to in these maps. I've not come across a single instance where this has any difference. You should always have an m_00 basically. Okay, so so basically anything that's m_10 to 19 is going to be entrances. You'll see these red boxes here, which aren't always completely accurate on this tool, but it gives you the rough idea of where it is. And if we zoom out here and we look at m_11 for instance, suddenly that's the exit right there. m_12 is right there. m_13. So these are entrances / exits to this room. We will come back to these, but for now, take note of the fact that they are always separated. Alright, now m_22. Yes. So m_22 almost always refers to puzzle crown placements. I've seen, I think, one instance where for some reason they're labeled differently, but we'll go in here for a moment just so you can see. And it'll take some time to load. Alright. Get out of here. Alright, now we've got a puzzle crown floating here, and we've got we got one right there. So there's 2 puzzle crowns in this room, and you can't normally see these on the tool because these are the crowns are just purely a visual effect. So what you have to do for when you're messing with these, to see where you're putting them, if for whatever reason you want to move the puzzle crowns, is you need to go into here and you'll see their ID is always going to be FEX260. If we just change this to something as a placeholder like Actor Sora, you'll see a Sora floating up there, and then you can just reposition the crown wherever you want it to be. So we'll move it over here, for instance. And argument 1 here corresponds to which puzzle crown this gives you. I don't know of a way to change what puzzle crown you actually get though, because it's also room dependent. So I wouldn't really bother messing with the arguments. At most I would just move the crowns around. Or if you're outright replacing this map with something else entirely, then you can, find a location for them, because it's only tied to the room ID itself, so TT37. It's not tied to, the structure of the map file or whatever. Anyway, so just to give you guys an example, now we've moved this back, we will change it back to the crown so it'll go invisible. Then we will save this ARD in our, okay, where is it? We'll save it in our dynamic loader folder under ARD. We'll save it as TT37. And then we will load our save state here. And it will take forever to load, because of course it will. But now if we go to... Damn, where is this room? Okay, it's right here. As you can see, now the puzzle crown is moved all the way over there. If we grab it, it still gives us the sunset puzzle piece. So that's just an example. Consider it a little refresher since we haven't gone over, or I haven't made a tutorial video on this stuff in a while. Just like moving an object around. Anyways, we'll go ahead and load the state. I don't want to be bothered by those enemies. So that's what m_22 usually is. So now we get to, where is it? m_70 to 70. Basically, M_70 is usually chest placements, but in other cases it can be like this, where sometimes it's M_71. So usually just look for M_70 to M_79. I'm not really sure why they change this value on occasion, but they do. So here we see one chest, and then there are other chests in this room, but they're not showing visibly. This is a bug with this tool where sometimes if the entity is the exact same MDLX file, so model file, in this case is chest, then it won't display other ones in the room. To get around this, again, you just simply alter what the model is temporarily. So if we remove this chest now, we can, or rather we change it to the big chest, we can now see the little chest in here, but if we were to change it back to what it was before, then it'll go away for some reason. I don't really know why this is, but this is just how it is, so gotta get used to it, I guess. But yeah, you can see this one right here. You can move the chests around as well, similar to what we did with the puzzle crowns. Just make sure they're on the ground, or at least very close to it, otherwise, because the chest reaction command won't work in the air. Now, the big thing to note about chests, if you want to add them to other areas, is that when you have multiple chests in an area, they're almost always going to have an argument 1 value attached to them. Just for convenience sake, you know, try to keep it relatively close to what they normally have. For whatever reason, small chests tend to use small values like this, and then big chests, they tend to make 100 plus or something. I guess to make it easier for them to see. If you want to see the list of chests in the game, then you should use Osdanova's KH2FM editor. And if we go here and open the 03system.bin file from an extracted ISO, mine will be slightly different, maybe because I've made direct modifications to it for my mod, but if you go to treasure here, TRSR, let me maximize this. You can see a list of items that are given to you. Now, item ID is what this item ID right here, the ID here is what the game is referencing when it has set inventory in an ARD script. I'm just mentioning this here offhand because this is something that I didn't realize. I was just kind of trying to find out for a long time. And this is very important when it's being handed to you through an event or something. These are all labeled chests, but for instance, like right here, Bond of Flame is given to you at just some random Twilight Town scene. And these aren't like hyper-specific labels here. This is just what's actually been documented, but this doesn't mean you can't use set inventory outside this room on this. It'll still give you the item. Now, getting away from events for a moment, let's go back to chests here. So let's try and find a list of the Twilight Town chests in here. Here we go. So we're messing with ones in the underground concourse right here. So you can see there's four entries for this, one for each chest. The ID here, the ID doesn't really matter unless you're wanting to swap out this entry for a new one later in your game. I've done that for some Realm of Darkness maps. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you should explore. And you see here, there's a corresponding world ID, so Twilight Town is World 2. And then there's a room ID, so as we saw earlier, Underground Concourse is 37. So this is how we can identify stuff and change it around. Now, I've always had issues with Osdanova's tool. Maybe it's just because I've modded a bunch of shit so much at this point. Certain people I've worked with can just double click this and then change it and then just test it in game and then save the file. I've never really able to do that, so I go with the hex editing method. But anyways, you can see room index 10, 11, 12, 13. Now what room index is actually a little misleading, because it might think there's something else with the room you have to figure out, but this is actually argument 1, because there's 10, 11, 12, 13 here. And if we go back into the chest, we can see argument 1, 10, argument 1, 11, scroll down a bit, 12, and then scroll down again, 13. So this argument 1 basically tells you which chest is actually being opened right here. So let's say we wanted to change this chest to say we just wanted to change the item that this chest gives. If we open PS2 this, and we'll just make a file dump here, for instance, we can do... What we can do is we can press Control F and search TRSR, so treasure again. You'll come across this list here. This doesn't mean anything, just press F5. Yeah, that's not where it's supposed to come across. Press F5 again. Again. Okay, on second thought, let's search the thing next to it, which is MEMT, which might produce less results. Come to this list again, press F5 again. Okay, so now we're at this list where you see treasure, MEMT, etc. So this is the 03 system bin as it's loaded into the game. And the positions of this never change once the game is started. But it's always going to be the same no matter what game instance you're playing, so long as you haven't offset anything in the files by adding to them. So with that in mind, we can copy the data from this address, and then press G, make the window appear, then copy paste that in there. And then we can press Shift F3, set to 16-bit, and then we can go to decimal here and just match it up. So 479. So we can search 479. We've got 1DF here. And now we can kind of compare the values and just kind of see, you know, what this all is. So we know the item ID here is currently 347. So if we're on decimal here, we just type 347, and we'll see 15B, which we can actually spot right here on this line. We press H, we can get this address, and then only have to change this. Because we're only modifying 4 lines of code here, we can just set this to a 1 instead of a 2, and then we'll just change it to some other item. And you can figure out which item to change it to by pulling up items equipment digits.txt. And we'll just put like a soldiery ring in there, for instance. So 0028. These are all hex values, by the way. So we put that in. We go into the room. Let's see. I don't remember which chest this one even is. Which one is the argument 0 chest? Let's see. Where is this on the map? Okay, so it's in like the hall, I guess. Alright. Where's the hall? Supposed to be on the grate, not that. There it is. So it's gonna be this chest here. Don't mind the recolors. Alright, so if we open this now, it's a soldier earring. And I will talk about chests more and like actually adding new entries when it's relevant, which will be once we again talk about the entrances and exits of rooms, because we're going to make one of these where we're going to add an exit here and make it lead to somewhere else. Anyways, going back on that now, so you have a better grasp of chests now. That's your introduction to chests. And then you have a global index here on the side, which would need to be changed as well if you want to basically swap out this entry for something else, because this global index is hit as soon as you open the chest. And once that happens, the chests are permanently open. Anyways, that is im_70, so let's move on from that. So im_80 is almost always going to be miscellaneous placements like examine prompts. Now, once again, this is something that you're not going to be able to see exactly where they are unless you see, where is it? Unless you just make it, again, something visible. So we'll turn this into like a treasure chest. So right here you can see that this is some kind of examine prompt location. Let's go back in there for a moment. We will find the sign ourselves. Come on, there we go. So right around where the chest was. Let's see here. Where is this thing? Not by the chest? Oh, it's by the 3. Okay, I see. So it's this thing right here. Wait, no, it's not. It's 3-4. Which one is 3-4? I'm getting confused here. Okay, here it is. 4-3. So you can see there is an examine prompt on this, and if you press triangle, it'll print a string to you. These are very strange to me. So reaction command is kind of misleading here. Reaction command is actually the text string that shows up when you examine this, because these command here is 604, which is the examine prompt for all of these. That's why they all have 604 in them, but reaction command is different. That's because these are pulling up different text strings for each of them. Now, again, text strings in this game are weird because, for one, I don't know exactly where this value is being pulled from. When I try to cross-reference things like this with like the corresponding world-specific message bar, so like in this case tt.bar, you know, I can pull this up here and try to search this string in hex. If I search 1580, nothing will actually come up. So I'm not really sure how it gets this data, I guess, which is a bit unfortunate, because it makes me unsure how exactly the game is handling shit. But there are, wherever this is messed with, there are text strings with specific values attached to them that you can reference for like information prompts. But for these, the best way I found if you want to add one of these is, unfortunately, you have to just take something that exists in the game as an ID that works for this in this specific world as well, and you just kind of have to use it and like not have it used anywhere else, I guess. I mean, you can reuse it, but it'll look weird if you want to do dialogue or something. So in my case, I pretty much just make Donald and Goofy all use the same like ellipses string most of the time, and then just take what they had before for a reaction command / command, and then just use that. So that's my personal method. But anyways, if you wanted to I guess mess with people, you know, we'll change reaction command from 1580 to 1582 on this one, and we can save this ARD and go back in there. Gotta remember it's 4-3. Oh right, I also need to change it back from being a treasure chest. Yeah, FEX000 is always going to be examine prompts. There's also one for Disney Castle specifically, which I think is just only used for Terrace Portal for whatever reason. So yeah, I resaved that, so let's go back in there now. And before it was like 3 back alley, 4 something. Now we changed it to the other command. We can examine this and it will be entirely misleading, because these are not the numbers that are on there. So you can mess with exam prompts like that. You can also similarly make this an NPC that will just tell you something. So for instance, if we just do, I'm trying to think of an NPC in this game. DEX110_RTN. So NPCs use the same thing with like reaction command and command here. Anyways, now Xeeynamo is giving us directions instead of the thing up there. You can see reaction command / shortcut modifier. So this actually has come in handy for me quite a few times. So the talk prompt there is a talk prompt there. I've always used the 1F talk prompt. I'm not really sure what the difference between other talk prompts are. But if we change this command to 31 here, because it was 1F in hex, which is 31 in decimal, then save this. So now if we talk to him, it'll zoom in on him like we're having an actual conversation, because he's already got like NPC collision and all that. And there you go. We've got ourselves an NPC here, and then you could just change this text to whatever you want. I don't believe I think I've pulled this up before. Yeah, I pulled this up in another tutorial. You would just use the Kingdom Hearts text editor in the browser and just drag a, let's see here. Drag a TT bar in there, and then just change 2 tunnelway, 3 back alley to whatever you would want him to say. I'm not going to do that because I really have no reason to, but yeah, that would be how you would change this. Just another note: when you save a when you want to dynamically load in changes to a world message bar file, so basically the thing that we dragged into the text editor there, make sure you leave the world and then come back, because these message files aren't unloaded until you exit the world and come back. And if you try to change it while you're in the world, weird stuff can randomly start to happen if it tries to dynamically load in again. Anyways, that's making NPCs. I'll open a different thing real quick, just as an example here, because this room does not have a save point, but this is pretty relevant information, I'd say, if you want to, say, make your own hub world or something. Sorry, hub room. So let's see here. Which one of these has a save point? The usual spot. Okay. Now, as you can see here, there's a group for Sora, Donald, and Goofy right here as well. So M_20 always refers to the save point or the world point, and you always want to make sure this has argument 199 on it. There should be no exceptions to this rule whatsoever. As you can see, if we swap it out for Actor Sora here, we can see the actual position of it. We'll put this back to world point now, keep its position in mind. And if we go back to M_00, you'll see Sora spawns like around the save point, facing out of the room. Now, if we go to one of these groups here, I'm not sure which one exactly it is. Here we go. So the first group here, the spawn group, corresponds to the save point. And the reason for that is, we can tell because the spawn argument is 99. If you have a room with a save point in it, you always want to have a group, Sora, Donald, and Goofy, or at the very least Sora, with a spawn argument of 99. This is where the game will load you in. There's a save point there. If you do not do this, you will probably wallpaper. And if you don't know what that is, it means basically you load in and you can see the world usually from weird angles, and then you just can't do anything because your character hasn't actually loaded in yet due to some kind of error. In this case, the error would be really the game working as intended because you wouldn't have put a spawn where the save point should be. Now, this doesn't mean you have to have them like right on the save point. If you want, you could just have them all the way in the distance here. The only reason he's on the save point in pretty much every instance of the game having a save point in a room and them spawning in is just because it makes sense. It's supposed to be a warp in. But you can put it wherever you want if you want. But yeah, remember, spawn arg 99 on the player and argument 1 to 99 on the world point. But that is what you see with im_20. So there's one other thing we need to go over for room spawns here. This is something the game does very often, and it's e_50. As you can see, there's like a cluster group of Sora, Donald, and Goofy there. But there's a spawn arg of 51 and a spawn arg of 50. What events in this game do after you finish a cutscene or something is that it'll push you to what it labels as an entrance. So like here it's entrance 0. Certain cutscenes will push you to different entrances though. And this is something we want to keep in mind. So right here, at the end of 44, it pushes you to entrance 50. And when it does that, if we go down a bit here, go area 2, right? So yeah, basically the way to read this is that it jumps after it plays a cutscene, so let's do an event. It jumps you to type 1, I don't know what that is, probably some kind of fade, maybe. Anyways, jumps you to World TT, so Twilight Town, the second area of it, so TT02, and then the 50th entrance, so in this case, whatever Sora's on spawn arg 50, so this one right here, we'll like push them out a bit to differentiate them, so 50 right there, and it will then fade type 1 just refers to, I guess, how it actually does a fade to black or whatever. Local says for other things, we won't worry about that right now. In fact, I almost always don't, but I will go over that eventually. But for now, this basically tells us that it's going to jump the player to the spawn argument of 50 right here. So that is important to know where it's jumping you, and event jumps will almost always be handled after e_ something, usually e_50, sometimes there's other things. And then as for NPCs, like actual NPCs with walking paths, you'll see these red boxes are kind of blinding here, but we can see Pence here, you know, he's probably, he hangs out, he's got a walking path when he's in here. These correspond to coordinates that he can walk to on the map. The best way I can recommend tracking these if you want to change something's walking position is to simply put the camera in a certain spot and then just look at the positions here, and then if it's like 188, do -188 because the camera does not match up well. At least I think it might be different for walks. I haven't actually messed with this before, because I usually just leave them idle. Anyways, I don't know what the event activators are for, but if you want an NPC walking around, my advice would be to extract something like, you know, this B50_ from the bar editor. But there's a lot of things like this, and if it has this weird letter and then an underscore at the end of it, that's pretty much always indicative of an NPC. Okay, that should cover pretty much everything except for entrances and exits to rooms. So now we're going to get to the fun part of all this. Alright, so time for what we've been putting off now, which are entrances and exits. Now this is going to get a little bit complicated, but if you follow along with me, we're going to get through this dilemma together. So, let's say we want to add in another room here, or sorry, another exit here that will take us to an entirely additional custom map entry. I'm going to go ahead and add a new map entry to Twilight Town. How are we going to do this? First I need to get an interesting enough map for you guys. Alright, so in order to do this, first we're going to need to get a map that we want. We're going to add a new entry to the maps of this game. How are we going to do that? Well, it's actually one of the easiest things with modding this game. All you have to do is, we'll go to the map folder here. We'll add this in as, like tt95.map. I'm only extending it so high because I've added a lot of Twilight Town maps technically for my due to my training mode. Then we're gonna want a basic ARD file to work with. You want to do this solely because it'll make your workflow easier in the long run. What I'm gonna do is I'm just going to simply copy the ARD file we've been working with, so the tt37.ard, and I'm going to put it in the dynamic loaders ARD folder. So we'll just put this as, so we'll just duplicate this and we will also call it tt95. Alright, so we've got that, but now how are we going to get an exit into here? Well, that is actually very simple, because pretty much every single entrance and exit works the same in this game with the exception of a few things. So as you can see on this one, there's a type and ID and all that. Again, you only really have to worry about ID. But this is the relevant part. So as you can see, this exit right here will take us to place 36, and it has door 1 and world 2. Now, world is actually completely wrong here and misleading. I'm not sure where this came from, but world is actually the collision type. So if you set it to 2, you have to walk directly into this red box from a certain angle, like opposite to where this box is actually facing, in order to go in there. If you set to 0, which I do pretty much all the time now because the red boxes are very confusing and not actually correct most of the time in how they look, I always just set to 0, which is that as soon as you touch the collision, you're warping. It's up to you if you want to go through the hell of rotating something properly that you can't properly visualize, but I wouldn't recommend it. Anyways, and then door here is 1. Now this is important because this is going to put the player at whatever spawn arg 1 is on the m_00 for the player at the other side of the map. So to prove this, let me open up a second instance of Map Studio, and we will open tt36 so we can properly visualize this. Once you start working with entrances and exits, whatever you want to call them, you pretty much always want to have 2 instances of the Map Studio open so you can properly visualize things. But if we look at m_00 here, let's find spawn arg 1. This is 0, so should be in the other spawn group. Okay, so spawn arg 1 is right here. So you enter 2 here, and because it is door 1, you will come out the other side here. That is how it normally works. However, if to give a visual of my point, let's set this to door 0, and you will see him spawn in where spawn arg 0 is, which is actually all the way over there. So let me go into here. Let's go to exit 2, at least as it's visually shown in game. Alright, so we go to 2 here. And we are suddenly at this place instead of where you normally would spawn had we not edited something. Ah, yes, there's my boys. Anyways. Not gonna be able to hear myself think. Alright. But that's the amateur stuff, alright? We're gonna get the real trickery going here now. So, in order to do this, first we're going to have to edit the map script a little. No problem, don't worry about it. Alright, before I do that, let me explain the event activators here. So, this is a very important differentiation. When something is option 0, then when you hit that collision, that is the room teleport. Option 1 is only there to display a message at like the bottom of the screen, so like these 3 question marks here, for instance. If we push this one out a lot, then you guys will see the effects of that. So we're gonna hit that red box quite a bit. As soon as it loads in. Alright, now if we start walking through this hallway, you'll see the text has appeared a lot more now. Though granted, it's still weird because again, the red boxes are very visually inaccurate. I should be hitting the hell out of this thing, but judging by the appearance, but I'm not. But anyways, you can see like now that we're here, we're trying to walk here. Text isn't actually displaying as it should, and I use an attack and hit the type or the quote-unquote world collision 0. So the attack just instantly transported me. That's probably the only reason they made sure to make pretty much everything in this game 2 on the collision type, but I don't really care. With that in mind, yeah, so option 0 is the actual room transport. Option 1 is the text displaying at the bottom, so remember that. Alright, now we've gone through that. Let's go ahead and make ourselves a makeshift extra. Let's go ahead and make ourselves an extra room transition here. So we're gonna put this right here. Now, in order to do this, we're gonna need to do a couple of things. First off, I have a base for this already, but we need to open the TT37 we're messing with in the bar editor, and we want to add a new C file, which is a spawn type file. And I'm just going to call this m_14, because why the hell not? Now, I've got plenty of groups of stuff here, because I've messed with this stuff for quite a while now. So I've got like room transition stuff here, so these will be included if they haven't already been included before. They'll be included in a zip file for you all to make things easier. But anyways, we are going to open this, and now we've got an m_14 there. So we are going to save this as the ARD type. Make sure it's ARD event file for the file type. Save that. Oh, I saved that in the wrong folder. Whoops. My bad. Let me delete that. Alright. So we'll save this in proper ARD folder. I would recommend making backups. I know what I'm doing, so I don't have to do that here, but it's good practice to make backups anyways. So we're going to need to reload this now. So we're just going to do file, import external ARD file, and then we'll just get our TT37 art file. Okay. Now, with that in mind, we should have an M_14 here. That's somewhere. I don't exactly know where this thing could be. But anyways, that's fine. We are going to just use our handy dandy camera for this. Alright, now let's set this to... So, as I mentioned before, if the camera position is like a negative, do a positive, and vice versa. We'll just position this right here. I never bother with option 1 because once you start adding new room IDs, it gets pretty janky and with the naming scheme anyways. So anyways, let's go ahead and rotate this box to roughly what seems correct. Then we'll move it right here. Then we'll scale it. So kind of like that. Push it back beyond the wall a bit there. Up a bit more. So you kind of have to meticulously make your entrances and exits by getting the camera pretty close and kind of observing the best you can. It's a little weird at first, but you know, once you do it too much, you kind of get used to it. Yeah, that's the kind of thing you should be doing, is making sure that, you know, once you add in these sorts of things, the player's guaranteed to hit it, but not in a weird way. Alright, so that's good enough. So now we need to set, first off, we need to set the ID to something. You can set this to pretty much whatever you want, just don't go above 65,535. If you've got that much stuff in your room, you've got a problem. So we'll set the world type here to 0 because I apparently didn't have that on that export. Whoopsie daisy. And now we've done that. Next, we are going to change the place to our new map, which was TT95. So we're going to set that. And we are going to save this. Sorry, before we save, we go to the spawn script compiler for the map itself. And we're going to change the spawn thing here. Pretty much all of these, because why not? Spawn M_14. Spawn M_14. And, yeah, just keep doing that, basically. You can copy and paste this stuff, too, with Control-C, Control-V. This one only has 2 spawns, so I won't bother with it. So yeah, we compiled that. Now we save this once again as tt37.ard. Okay, so we've got a tt95.ard in place now, and this is where I will show you why you need to have 2 of these open. So we've got our entrance set up for this room that's going to lead to place 95, and it's going to be door 0. So for this one, by the way, when you're importing an external map file, you have to select one of these things on the list that naturally the thing can read first before doing that, otherwise it glitches out and crashes. Anyways, file, import external map file. We'll go to our dynamic loader map folder, /jp, and we will select our TT95. Alright, so a little far out there, but you know, we can make it work. So, with this in mind, let's go ahead and find spawnarg heroes. Oh, sorry. Once you import the external map file, you have to import the external ard file as well. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll import TT95. And we will have, say, where is this? Okay, spawnarg 0 is somewhere out there in the distance. Again, we're just going to use the camera for this. So, camera, position 11, so we'll do -11, we'll do 442. Then we'll do 44. And alright, there's Sora. I'm not going to worry about Donald and Goofy because I don't even have a reason to for my mod. So we'll get him like, you know, right in the middle, give or take. Okay, not exactly in the middle, but close enough. And we're just going to... So we've got a spawn arc 0 here already, serial 1, so this is fine. And then we've got friend 1 here, friend 2. We don't need to worry about these other groups because this is like a... We only have one real way to get into this room, at least that we've planned so far. With that in mind, you know, since we duplicate that other art, etc., we've already got a script here to work with as a base. We will start adding stuff in later. For now, let's go ahead and save this nice little sample here. Save this as tt95.ard. Then let's go on a journey. Let's go on a journey, you guys. So we'll touch our entrance right here. And we're kind of falling again, because, you know, that's just how this game rolls, I guess. Okay. Alright, seems the map collision is turned off somehow. I'm not really sure how that happened. Well, I am. So that's a weird quirk with map visibility. That likely means we just need to change the map visibility to be 3 on all of these, because map visibility can actually determine whether collision is turned on or off as well. So let's just make sure this has 3 at the end of it, and that should probably fix it up. This game can be weird with things like that, so we will save the art as et95.ard. Alright, let's try this again. There we go. Now we're standing on here, no problem. Anyways, so now we've got ourselves spawned into this room. You can even see a little treasure chest here. But as you can see, it is only giving us a dark shard and then immediately closing. And that's one of the things to worry about with chests. So, if you wanted to have a chest in this room, for instance, we'll just, rather works in this room, we'll go to our m_22 here, m_71, that's the one with the chest. And we can see this one right here is, no wait, it's this one right here. So like with argument 11 and stuff. And then, yeah, so it's this one. So if we wanted to change this one to be like its own unique little entry, we would want to swap out, an existing one, at least temporarily. The way we can do that is the way we're searching treasure before. If we go back to where treasure starts, then we search, let's see here. We search the ID here, so 480. We can come across this right here in hex. So this is the corresponding 481. Or yeah, the corresponding 480 entry. To lower the size of this a bit. So what's really important to note here are 3 things at this point. One is the world ID, which again we're still in Twilight Town because we add this entry to it, so this is fine. But then there's a room ID here, which will be 37. So if we look at this in decimal, we will see that this is 25. So this little byte right here, if we press B, we can find it. So we will copy that address, and since we're only changing a byte, we can just, or rather the last 2 digits, we just leave it as a 0 at the start, and then we'll change this to what is it? We made it 95, so we will change this to 95 in hex, which is 5F. So we've changed the room ID, and we're still using the index from the underground concourse for this because it's argument 11, so we can leave room index as well. And then global index is the other one we need to change because in the game's eyes, this global index has already been opened. So if we were to just leave it as 353, then it would just always stay that way. So with that in mind, let's see, 353 in hex is 161, which comes right here, so we can press H, have that address, and then bring that in, and we will set this to be like a different global index, one that really isn't used anywhere, to my knowledge anyways. They're kind of out of order here. So we'll just have the global index be like, say, 552. So 228 in hex. So let's do that, and I think we might have to reload the room for this to take effect. Yeah, so let's reload the room. These codes active. And if we go here now, we'll open the chest. And suddenly we get an orichalcum. And all you would have to do to... Then all you'd have to do, once you know that the player has opened like both the underground concourse chest and this, is basically just change this back whenever they're not in the change this back to what they were before once you're out of here, basically. Just in case maybe they haven't opened the underground concourse chest before. So you would just revert these IDs back to what they were before. So like, say this was room index 37, so we would just put to 25, and then let's see here, where is, I lost my place, but basically it was like 353 before. Yeah, 353 before. So then we would just change this value back to 161 as well, and apply that whenever we're out of this room. There's a way to do this with setting up Panac conditionals, which I will go into more detail with on the next video. Because, yeah. There's a lot to cover with, you know, events and shit, because there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with this game. But anyways, as you can see, we've got here in this room, you know, we've got a chest, and maybe if I were to fly around there would be some enemies. I kind of doubt it. Oh yeah, look at that, there's Xeeynamo in the distance as well. You can see some of the spawns are kind of still active here. With that in mind, we know, for instance, that because this is a, so we're going to make a file dump here now so I can show you guys something. So if we make that, we'll make it whatever we want here. We'll have a second instance of PS2 disk open now. We open this and do check. To see your event states with this, you can go to address 0032 BAE0 every time, and you'll see. So there's things of note here. These digits right here correspond to what entrance you're at. This digit right here corresponds to your BTL script that's currently loaded in. These digits right here correspond to your map script that's currently loaded in. And these digits right here correspond to your event script, so EVT script that's loaded in. These are going to be very important to know in the future, but for now, remember that by default, the game is always going to set it to all zeros in a new map instance. Which means if we want to spawn in enemies, for instance, we're going to want to move all those spawns to a program 0x0. So for instance, let's just do program 0x0, sorry, program 0x00, capacity 50, capacity is the spawn limiter. I think I went over this before, but you know, we'll go over it again just in case. And then there's like all these different little battle groups here. I'm just going to spawn in all of them because I can. B_21. Okay. So if we actually were to preview these are like, again, the enemy spawns from the underground concourse. Since when are morning stars in here? What? And soldiers? I think this might actually be unused. That's weird. Okay. Well, anyways. Yeah, we can spawn, like, all kinds of different stuff in here. Like, shit, there's Crimson Jazzes in here. I know for a fact those are unused as well. Not sure how much I'll be able to get away with spawning here. Maybe at... Let's see, what's B_21? The dust and shit? Okay, yeah. Let me actually just take B_21 off here. Anyways, we will compile this battle script here, just as an example, and we will save this as TT95 again. Alright. So we'll walk in here now. It'll take longer to load because it's got to spawn stuff in. And then let's see. What happens if we walk around a bit? Okay, there's some enemies. So this is just, you know, duplicate script without like even doing really anything other than like moving shit around, just changing battle calls. Nice. Got hit by that. Anyways, as you can see, continues will work in this room just fine as well. Let me get rid of you guys now. Now that the point has been proven. Anyways, as you can see, they're still pretty healthy. They're still using the typical battle level from the Twilight Town itself, because we are still in Twilight Town. Alright, so that seemed pretty good. Got through that pretty good. Alright. Then like, let's see. Again, we got our chest here, which we made before, so that exists in this room. So, you can kind of see all that you can do with rooms like this. And, you can even call in, like, mission files if you wanted to. So, let's see here, we'll do, like, a quick sample of this, just to give you guys a little preview. Well, actually, no, we'll keep it to the relevant stuff, which is supposed to be like the miscellaneous room shit. So let's go back to let's go to like M_10 here. So we still got our room transitions all from before. I'm pretty sure they're all just gonna be out in the distance at this point. Yeah, like I'm not even spotting them at this point. So let's look at M_10 now. So let's say we want the player to be able to get out of here. Then we'll add a, we can add, say, we can move this back over here. This will be like the exit. We'll make sure that you just gotta collide with it to leave. We'll set this to like door, I don't know, 8. We can have like, again, the option 1 thing here, just kind of try and pull this up. Something vaguely resembling where it should be. Again, I don't really know how this is going to be angled. But, yeah, we'll also like scale. I shouldn't have moved that there first. Let me move this back a bit. So we'll scale this X as well a bit, so it's a little easier for us to hit and, for that matter, find. And then, yeah, we made it. So we made door 8, and then we want it to send us to place 37, which is the underground concourse, because we want to get out of here. You know, we've overstayed our welcome. This place, we got to get out. So we've already got spawn M_10 in the script because we duplicated the art from before. But if you were making a new room, you want to make sure to include that spawn point if it wasn't there already. With that in mind, let's see, it's like right at Ventus's foot. Okay, we'll keep that in mind. And yeah, so this will be door 8. Now, if we, I'll show you guys what happens. So if we go in here, oh wait, I don't think I saved the yard. So let's save the yard. TT95 again. Let's go in here. Alright, now if we go to Ventus's Foot, this will let us leave this place. But we don't have an entrance 8 here, so it's gonna wallpaper most likely. Yep. See how we can't do anything now? That's what happens when you forget a spawn. But this is an easy fix, so we're gonna go back to our... Close out of this now. So let me go back to this. We're gonna need to add in a new spawn point now to let the player escape that place and you know, actually spawn in here properly like they should. So with that in mind, we are going to go ahead and go to the bar editor. We are going to reopen this map here. And I'm going to... Sorry, I'm gonna open TT37, so the Underground Concourse one. And we are going to add in another C file. I'm just gonna name this m_01. We're gonna add this file. And I'm just going, again, I've got a player friend1, friend2 thing that I use, so I will go ahead and add that in, save it as tt37.ard once again. And we're going to have to, first off, we're going to have to go all the way back out because we need to unload the Underground Concourse from RAM. And then we're going to re-import external art file. We're going to re-import the TT37 that we just saved, because now we want access to m_01, which will be at the bottom. Alright, now I already have the ID set as like 2000. The serial says 2000, 2001, 2002, just so I don't have to worry about shit. But anyways, now we have an entrance 8 for these guys. All we have to do is, once again, set spawn type to 1 and set spawn arg to 8. And I'll go ahead and do this for these guys as well, just for good measure. Our good old party members. Alright. So, with that in mind, we want the player to be like around where the entrance was, but not exactly like on it, or otherwise it'll just auto warp them back. So we will go to 777, -836, and then -445. There will be our Sora. Let's get him facing away from the entrance, and we'll just put him like right around there. Seems good. Alright. And now that we've done that, we've got a spawn arc set to 8. All we have to do now is go into this program. We will write spawn m_01 for all of these. Alright, compile that. Save art as. Save it as over Underground Concourse. Now let's walk in here. And we are going to go between the rooms now. So right around here. Now it's going to take some time to load our room as normal. Okay. And now we're here. Let's see, it was by Ventus's Foot, so we'll go ahead and leave. Get out of here. Then we'll spawn in on our entrance 8, English. And now we're back at the Underground Concourse. So, if you imagine there's a door right there, there you go. That makes sense to do. But, yep, that's how you can move between rooms. And then, whatever the story flags are at are going to determine, you know, your event stuff for this room, like what spawns in and what doesn't, because that's naturally set. But for your custom rooms, they're always going to be set to, you know, zeros for pretty much everything. Unless, of course, you start doing Panac edits, which I will go into detail on in another video. But for now, this should be a good indicator of most of the stuff you can do. Now, I'm going to go over one more thing, and that's going to be like turning this into like kind of a little hub world thing. So let's go. So while we don't need to do this, we'll go ahead and just remove the enemy spawns from that battle script, and we'll compile it. And then we're going to go ahead. We're going to save TT95 here as no itself. Then we're going to open TT95 in this bar editor here. And I'm going to show you guys some other presets I have. So we're going to do C. We'll add in, whoops, we'll just add, by the way, you can name the ID whatever you want, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to add in a save point here and I'll just name it save. Yeah. Save points, and then I'll add in another one called shop. Do C for that. And we'll add in a Moogle shop here as well. We'll save this again as TT95. And then we've got to import external art on this, so we will go ahead and just do that again. Alright. Now we've got that. We'll go ahead and, before we forget, let's just add spawn shop, spawn save. We will go ahead and just put this on all of these, I guess. Technically only necessary to do on programs 0x00 unless you plan on making like other programs. But anyways, we'll save this art as TT95 just so we don't forget. And now let's go ahead and let's get our new stuff. So let's get the we'll get the save point first. I'm gonna go ahead and change this ID to something random, I guess, and with the serial number here. And then see here, we need to see it. So let me go ahead and make it an actor Sora temporarily. Again, we'll use the opposite positions of the camera to find him, but oh, there we go. We got a world point. So we'll put a world point like right over here by Vanitas. Put it like right on his head too. Why not? Alright. Then we'll go ahead and change it back to a world point. And, yep, it's already set to argue at 199, so that's good. And then, we'll have a shop here as well. Oh, there's the Moogle shop. You know, that's a fine position. It's cool. Anyways, argument 2, if I remember correctly, is the one that corresponds to what shop this is. I'm going to test this in a moment just to be extra sure about that, but I think that is correct. So with that in mind, let's go ahead. There's also other parameters here. I'm not really sure what they're for. Actually, maybe 4 represents that. I don't know. We'll figure it out in a moment. So let's save this art as TT95 again. And then let's load slot 7 here so we can get out the underground concourse again. We'll make ourselves a save state right before the entrance again. Alright, let's save this. Go in here once again. Now you can see we've got a Moogle shop here and a save point. Kind of under the map. I'll have to move that up a bit, but yeah, you get the idea. So then here's our little Moogle shop, which is Stiltskin's Moogle shop. So this is the one from the world that never was. My advice would be go into a place that has a Moogle shop and just extract that one if you want a specific Moogle shop. Anyways, yeah, save points. Save points are fun. We can save if we want to in this room, and even though you'll also want to remember to have a spawn arc 99 for this. Again, I'm repeating myself, but you know, it's important, I promise. So I'll just save over this. This is a random file anyways. And as you can see, our wonderful room name is fake. And if we pause, it is also fake. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is going to load in properly to begin with, but we're going to, before we do this, we are going to go ahead and I'm just going to repurpose one of the party members here at this point, so rather one of these other spawn groups, I should say, because we've got plenty to work with because of the ones we ripped from. So we'll just change this player to spawn arc 99 and put him around where the save point is. You kind of have to just remember kind of where you put the save point. I know I put it on his head, so I'm just gonna get him roughly around there. I'm not going to be a perfectionist about this because I'm not going to use this at all once this tutorial is done, but, where is he? Yep. Okay. Move him, like, right there. Somewhere around there. Seems good. Okay. And we'll just do that. Make sure it's spawn arc99, then for Donald and Goofy. Again, I'm not going to be a perfectionist about this. I'll just make them spawn arc99. I'm not going to bother moving them, though. Alright, now that we've done that, we added all this shit. We've compiled it, so let's save our art again. 1895. And now we are going to go ahead and go in here. Alright. Actually, no, we're not going to go in there. We're going to go back to the Station Plaza now. We're going to jump to the tile screen, which is a thing that the Crazy Cat's English patch just can naturally let you do. Pretty cool. So let's go here. We'll just jump to the tile screen. Alright, now let's try loading our wonderful file. Now, the game can get pretty weird when doing stuff like this, just making saves in locations that don't really exist. I've seen it throw people back to the Altar of Naught. I'm not sure if anything's even going to load here, to be honest, which is kind of the flaw with save points like this, but we'll see. Maybe the game will surprise me. Wow, it actually worked. That's actually pretty surprising. Okay. Well, in that case, there you go. You can make your own little hub world, even if it's called fake. Anyways, the other thing to note is, with these custom areas, if you go to the world map, it's not really going to let you land back there, because the world menu has, like, its places manually assigned somewhere. And, I'm not entirely sure how to add that, but, yeah, don't be surprised that you can't land there anymore. You'll have to, you also have to make places that are, inaccessible, I guess. With special means or something. I don't know. Anyways, point is, if you don't want the player to jump to the world map, by the way, you don't have to use world point, you can also use save point. And that's the one where you can still save there, but you can't actually jump to the world map. So if we load our save state again... no, let's load a save state 8, actually. If we go in there now, this technically makes more sense to do. If you want to do this, you can just do this regular save point, and then, as you can see, you can't go to the world map. Okay, now, with that in mind, we got ourselves a chest. We can leave right now, so we'll go ahead and do that. And there we go. We have ourselves an extra room with a room transition, save point, all that, and everything, and even enemies if you want to re-enable them. So, that should cover pretty much everything you need to know about, like, getting to extra rooms and stuff. Next tutorial is gonna be the final one for events, and we're gonna go over setting our own little pseudo story variables that don't interfere with the game itself at all, and that'll be how we can mix in our own little mission events, like our all new mission events. But for now, I've been recording this for God knows how long at this point, and oh boy, I can't wait to edit it down, but this should suffice for now. So, thanks for watching, hope you enjoy it,